There were people who thought we were a little unhinged, right? I mean, a married couple starting a mushroom and back then psychedelic-focused wellness company, talking about consciousness and meditation and human design at work. And it didn't exactly fit the traditional corporate mold. And we got a lot of side-eye.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Desiree Caruso, Naturopathic Doctor, and I am interviewing my friend and colleague, Brandi Garden, the co-founder of Aversio Wellness and author of Healing Your Body, Mind, and Soul. Today, we're diving into Chapter 8, Building Your Dream Team. Brandi, in this chapter, you write something that's really powerful. If you don't walk your true path, you don't find your true people. When did you first realize, I'm finally walking my true path and these are my people?
I think that the first real moment it hit me, I remember this night very clearly. It was the night that we crossed $1 million in sales, which it sounds so fun to just say that. People measure success in different ways. And for me, when we hit that, it was like this, something changed, but it actually had nothing to do with the number in the bank that night. So I went upstairs in my house, closed the door, and I ugly cried in gratitude. But I was crying because I was so proud of us as entrepreneurs. I was crying because in that moment, I could feel all of the people who had said yes to our wild idea of changing lives through fungi. And it was our early friends and family who were investors in us in the beginning when we just had to get started, our tiny but mighty team at that time, our first customers. I knew we were doing what we said we wanted to do. Like we were actually changing lives. And our people were part of that impact. So, and I think for so long, I'd been the Gen X stabilizer in the school system where I was this bridge between the boomers and the millennials, the one trying to keep things grounded and balanced. But when we created Aversio, it was really built around expanding consciousness and holistic wellness. And I realized, this is my true path. And then the people who showed up, those investors in the team and even our brand ambassadors, they didn't come to us for a job. They came because something in the vision resonated with their own soul. And that is the moment that I really understood that line. When you're brave enough to walk your true path, even if it looks weird or risky for other people, the right people can finally recognize you and can find you.
That's beautiful. When you and Craig first started building Aversio, it was just the two of you, and you were following this inspired idea and following your gut, as you like to say. What did those early days look like, and when did you realize, we can't do this alone, and we need a dream team?
Yeah, it didn't take long. In the beginning, it literally was just the two of us. We did have our friend Sue helping us some admin at the time, and we had lots of free advice from an accountant friend, Harry. And it was in that strange quiet of 2020. And we had a big whiteboard, and we had an even bigger dream. And we were those, again, classic Gen Xers, right? Independent and scrappy, very used to wearing all of the hats. So we packed orders. We answered all the customer emails. When I say we, it was me, because God forbid Craig answered customer emails. We worked on building the brand together. We studied mushroom research late at night together, and we were parenting 2 kids and a dog at the same time. So looking back, I think our genius was actually knowing we weren't geniuses. We knew what we were good at. We could do all of the things, but we were honest about the gaps, about the tech for me, about the operations, about the clinical expertise, about the digital marketing. So we knew we didn't just want to build a business. We really wanted to build a conscious workplace where people actually found purpose in their job. So the moment I knew we needed a dream team was when the vision started to feel bigger than our personal capacity, right? 2 wasn't enough. So it was like the universe kept sending more opportunities and more responsibility and more growth. And then I realized that if we try to keep it as just us, so we would actually be limiting the impact of the work that the work could have. So that's when the conversation shifted from how do we do this to who do we need to invite in so that this can become what it is meant to be.
Putting it out there so that people can be attracted to that.
Yeah.
You share this line that I really love because it shows this confidence, humility, as well as a growth mindset. And you just mentioned it, that you and Craig promised you'd never hire anyone who wasn't smarter than you in some way. Why was that so important, and how has it really shaped the culture at Aversio?
I think we learned that from a book written by David Branson. And I just think that commitment came from a place of humility and honesty. We knew if we were serious about building something that could outgrow us, then it couldn't be an ego project. So we did. We made that promise. We will never hire anyone who isn't smarter than us in at least one clear way. So for us, smarter means that they have a zone of genius that we don't. So for us, Lori in customer care is a perfect example. She delivers a level of care to our community that I have never seen from another brand before. And then Veronica, our cousin turned digital wizard, she showed up because she saw our clunky Instagram posts and she knew she could do it better, and she could. And then Shannon, a naturopathic doctor that came to us with the brain of a data architect, she has saved us from collapse more times than I can count with her systems and her spreadsheets. And then I will cry if I talk about you coming to us. But clearly, everyone listening to the podcast knows you are in your zone of genius, sharing education about the kingdom fungi you do. So that promise, it just shaped our culture in such a beautiful way. People are hired for who they are, right? Their gifts and their values and their energy, not just for a job title. And there's this underlying respect that you are here because you see something that we can't, you can do something that we can't. And it naturally creates collaboration instead of competition when we do that. When we surround if you surround yourself with people whose genius you genuinely admire, then it keeps you humble, right? It keeps you curious, and it turns the company into a living, breathing organism that's always growing beyond what any one person could do alone. And I wish more companies would do it this way.
I really think so too, and it's why our team is so close. And then adding in others like our new design wizard Paige, who just really felt our energy and brought her genius to us because we recognized, oh, we can design things, we can do this, but we don't have the capability that she has, right? So to have everybody in there. Something that is really cool in this chapter is that, and you kind of touched on already, is that people didn't join Aversio because they wanted a job. They wanted to be part of something bigger. And as a millennial, I can speak to that. That's definitely the thing. And this type of a business really goes against the grain from regular corporate, regular businesses. And I'm sure you probably received some resistance from others who thought that you and Craig were just dreamers and maybe even a little delusional. What really helped you execute and continue to establish that type of a culture?
Yeah, absolutely. There were people who thought we were a little unhinged, right? I mean, a married couple starting a mushroom and back then psychedelic-focused wellness company, talking about consciousness and meditation and human design at work. And it didn't exactly fit the traditional corporate mold, and we got a lot of side-eye. But I think what helped us to stay the course was just being crystal clear on our why. And it sounds so cliche, but from day one, we really believed that work shouldn't just be a paycheck. We both had that. Right? I could have kept doing that. I had a very nice, comfortable government job, but work should be a catalyst for personal growth and expansion. So we read a book called The Buddha and the Badass by Shin Lakiani, and that just really validated that for us, the idea that you can bring spirituality and disruption, for Craig, into the same room and build something extraordinary, like that was it. So we just kept returning to our mission and our values, and especially when people didn't understand. And we hired people who generally wanted to change lives through fungi. That's a small crowd, and I'm so grateful we found them. But we created experiences to attract that. We have retreats. We do meditations together. We do workshops. And I think that just embodied the culture instead of just writing it on a poster. We actually do these things and we share them with the community so people can see it. So when resistance came, instead of shrinking in, we just treated it like a filter. So if someone thought we were delusional for prioritizing mental health and play and presence at work, then they simply weren't our people. And then that clarity helped us to keep executing on the kind of culture that we knew we wanted to build and want to keep building.
Yeah, being the fun and being that to attract it. You also talk in this chapter about the people who believed in you before there was anything to show. So the early shareholders who said yes to your vision when it was still just a dream. For anyone who is building something and maybe feels unseen or unsupported, what did it mean to have people finally believe in you for this? And how did that shift your belief in yourself?
Oh, I feel it. When you ask, being back to those moments, being believed in at the beginning, it's honestly sacred. So our early investors were family and our friends and community members who said yes when all we really had was a deck and a dream and lots of mushroom talk. But I really think they weren't investing in a company. They were investing in us, in Craig and I as humans at the time. We were so passionate. And I think when someone looks you in the eye and says, I see what you're trying to do and I'm willing to stand beside you, it does something to your nervous system, right? It softens the self-doubt and it doesn't erase the fear, but it just gives you this deep internal sense of maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe this really can work if someone else sees it too. So that night I talked about where I cried after that first million, it was because I knew we were finally delivering on the promise we made to those people, right? We were
Mhm.
making them proud of themselves for trusting their intuition and betting on our vision. So for anyone who feels unseen or unsupported right now, I would say this: keep walking your path with integrity, even when no one is clapping for you. The right people, they often show up later than we'd like, but when they do, their belief becomes a mirror that reflects back a stronger, braver version of you. I couldn't see it until others saw it for me. Sometimes those people are quiet, right? They're those shareholders, they're the mentors, they're that one loyal friend. But that one yes can completely shift the way you see your own potential. And it was everything for me.
I just got goosebumps. Wow, what a beautiful answer and piece of advice for people to live their path. We talk about our workplace culture a lot, and it is so unique. We're playing ping pong, we're doing breath work, neurographic art, group meditations. Lately, before our big team meetings, we're doing qigong. Like,
Yeah.
we have so much fun. Work is fun. I can't believe that it's actually work. Why do you think play, presence, and nervous system regulation is such an important part of how you build your dream team?
Yeah. And I think because our workplace in this day and age is not separate from our healing. Right? You
Hmm.
can't just shut off the healing to go to work. Most people spend
Mm.
more waking hours with their team than with their family.
Yeah.
And if that environment is stressful and misaligned and disconnected from the body, it's going to show up in their health sooner or later. I can say this because it was my life. So I think we've intentionally built practices into our culture that support the nervous system. And it's something that I hope that we do it at a meeting or at lunchtime, but it's a skill, a tool that as we build it, it's something we can all use at other times in our life. And not everything's for everyone, right? Sometimes someone doesn't want to participate in those things, and that's allowed because they will find a tool that is the one for them. So lunchtime meditations, guided heart opening breath work, or that qigong before meetings, neurographic art, we all loved. That was a connection that was a surprise for all of us, suggested by someone in our Versio community. And that's something where we just sit and draw and let the unconscious speak through the pen. Those things are not extras. They're part of how we actually do business, right? Then the play, like we love a potluck, we love karaoke, we've gone for mushroom walks, we've gone bowling, we've done wake surfing together, and the retreats. And yes, the ping pong table needs to get fixed because it's not there right now and I'm missing it. That, I think, play builds trust. It helps
Hmm.
people co-regulate and laugh and remember their humanity. So it makes it safer to have hard conversations later because you've already built a baseline for connection and joy. So
Yeah.
for us, culture is a healing modality. When people feel safe and seen and regulated at work, then they're more creative, they're more compassionate, they're more effective, and that energy flows straight out to the customers we serve, to you in the Versio community out there.
Definitely. We all also went through human design as a team,
Yes.
and something really shifted. It was like everybody suddenly had permission to be more authentically themselves. How did understanding each other's designs help the team step into their strengths and create more success, not only for the company, but for themselves? But how did it help you specifically?
I mean, human design was one of the most validating experiences of my life, hands down. And I both personally and professionally.
Mm.
So we brought in our friend, our now friend, Mindy Crawford. Go find her, go look her up. And she walked us through our charts. And it was like someone turned on the lights in a room that we'd been fumbling around in. Like we were there, but just so much landed. And for me, learning I was a generator was huge. I know you too. Just confirmed that my gut responses, that yes or no feeling in my body, they're not only valid, they're actually my strategy for success. And I was not, I knew they were there, but I was
Mhm.
not using them to their full potential. So it just gave me permission to stop forcing things and instead respond to what truly lights me up. So that one insight changed the way I make decisions in the business and in my personal life. And I think as a team, human design gave us a language for what we
Mhm.
were already feeling, but we didn't have like this common vocabulary. So our generators, you, me, Paige, Lori, we're amazing at executing and building. And our
Mhm.
projectors, Craig and Shannon, they're our natural guides and strategists. And our
Mhm.
manifester, Veronica, is brilliant at initiating and creating change. And once we saw that on paper, we could intentionally leverage those strengths instead of just accidentally working against them, which I think had happened
Mhm.
unintentionally. And I think it also created compassion, right?
Mm.
Instead of thinking, why doesn't this person work like I do? We started asking, how is their energy designed to work and how can we support that? And that shift has led to better communication and less burnout and more flow for the team and for the company. Just alone knowing that Craig might need a nap in the day as a projector, I was so judgy of that because I'm like, going for 10 hours. Why can't he? And the aha and the judgment that was removed, it brought a compassion that hadn't been there before, and we're all better for it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
thank you, Mindy Crawford.
Thank you, Mindy. We love it.
Yeah.
We also use the EOS framework, which, says the right people in the right seats. That's the approach. And Craig will always
Yeah.
say that. Where is everybody? Are they sitting in the right seats?
Yeah.
I'm driving the bus. And you talk about how important it is to lovingly shift someone's seat or even help them off the bus when the alignment isn't there anymore. And I know you've shifted seats slightly in terms of the roles you're doing. And I
Mhm.
think all of us really at Aversio, we've kind of shifted things. Maybe it's just slightly to make things move more seamlessly.
Yeah.
How did you learn to make those tough decisions with compassion instead of fear?
Yeah, at first I didn't. EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, in case someone's unfamiliar. And it was a hard thing for me to step outside the box. The way I had worked before, like this was your role, this was what you got hired for, and that's what you'll do till you retire. And this system really asks you not to think that way. It asks you to always be evolving, expanding, growing, changing, transforming. And yeah, that is how I want to live my personal life. It makes sense that we behave that way. So those decisions, they used to keep me up at night. I care deeply about people. So the idea of moving someone off the bus, it felt like I was failing them. But EOS, I think, helped give us this neutral framework. Right? We have the vision first, and it's very clear and it's written down, and everybody can see it all the time. And the people, and then the data, and the issues, and the traction. I mean, we talk about having the right people in the right seats, meaning that they align with our core values first, and their role really fits their gifts. So when something feels off, we now have tools, right? We have a scorecard. We look at it once every 2 weeks together at a meeting. We have level 10 meetings. We have clear rocks and measurables. So it's less personal now, and it's just
Mhm.
more about alignment. Like if it's not working, it's clear to see. So I
Mhm.
think what really shifted things for me was understanding that keeping someone in the wrong seat or on the wrong bus is actually unloving to them.
Mhm.
So if someone is miserable or underexpressed or constantly struggling, and we are too afraid to have an honest conversation, we are holding them back from the place where they could truly thrive. So compassion-led leadership for me means telling the truth kindly. It means creating a transition plan, leaving the door open for future reconnection if it can be, and genuinely wishing that person well. So I think fear wants to avoid discomfort all the time, but compassion is willing to be uncomfortable for the sake of everyone's highest good, including that person leaving. And that has been our reality.
Very nicely said. You say that when you operate from abundance, you attract the people who are meant for your path. For someone who feels like they haven't found their people yet, what does living in abundance actually look like in the real life?
It is not about having piles of money, which I think is that's what
Mhm.
people lean to when they hear it. To me, it's an energy and it's a mindset that you choose before the evidence shows up. Right? We did not make that first million in the first month. It took a long time to get there, but I felt like we were there long before it was there. And I think in real life, it looks like making decisions from trust instead of from scarcity. So it's sharing your vision openly, and when it's still just a sketch in your notebook. right? It has to be this dream, but you're already excited because you've already achieved it in your dream. You know, you just are moving toward it. So I think it's investing in your own growth. It's going to the retreat. Even when you think, how can we take time off? How can we afford to do it? You go. It's hiring the mentor. It's taking the class because you believe you're worthy of your dream. So it's also like being very clear about your values and your non-negotiables. So abundance doesn't cling to misaligned relationships just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a hard thing, right? Like, well, maybe we should because we might. You have to let go. It says, if this isn't right, there is something better that is right. And then that's how we attracted our team, through clear intention and consistent action and a refusal to compromise on the kind of culture that we wanted to build. So if you feel out there like you haven't found your people yet, start by asking, am I showing up as my true self or as a version that I think will be more acceptable? Because abundance flows where authenticity lives, right? We hear that all the time. The more you live in alignment with who you really are, the easier it is for your people to recognize you, to find you.
I love that. At the end of the chapter, there's this really resonant prompt for reflection. It goes, reflect on what it means to align your work with your values and passions. It seems like something that is so obvious, but there is an overwhelming majority of people who are just simply not living in alignment with their own values in all of their lives, right? Like things in their life and the things that they're doing just aren't representative of that. And why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it comes down to conditioning and survival, right? Most of us were raised to prioritize stability. I have so many friends going through this right now. We're learned to prioritize external success and other people's expectations over inner alignment. We're taught to choose the safe path, even if it costs us our health or our joy or our sense of purpose. I think there's also a nervous system piece. When your body has been living in stress or fight or flight for years, the idea of changing careers, of starting a business, or reshaping your life to match your values can feel truly terrifying. So I think it's just easier for some people to stay in the familiar discomfort than it is to step into the unknown, even if the unknown holds possibility. So my hope for all of you friends who are listening, and really the heart of this whole chapter, is to remind people that alignment isn't a luxury. It is a form of healing. When your work reflects your values and your passions, it doesn't mean that life becomes perfect or easy, but it does become more meaningful. So if you are listening and you are feeling out of alignment, this is not a criticism, it is an invitation. You don't have to blow up your life overnight. You can start with a small, brave choice, like one honest conversation, one boundary that you're going to set, one step toward more authentic expression of who you are. And then over time, those steps add up. And then that's when your true people start to appear. And yes, for me, I did quit my job and start a whole new thing, but I had a really good partner in crime that really had to give me loving nudges along the way to get there. So the brave choices are a big deal.
Step into the river of change and
Yes.
get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's
100%,
life.
100%.
Yeah. Chapter 8 is this powerful reminder that we're not meant to do life or business alone. But in Chapter 9, practicing meditation daily, you shift from community back into the inner practice that anchors everything. Brandi, would you say that meditation is the tool that holds both the self and the team together?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know me. Meditation is the fuel that empowers everything else we build. It's the beginning.
Can't wait. See you soon, everyone. Be well.
See you soon.